So in this particular presentation, I'll be talking about the Marine Spatial Planning Handbook that we have collectively developed at MRC. So I had kind of conveyed the importance of marine spatial planning in my previous session. And in this session, I'm going to tell you the nitty-gritties of what this particular handbook will entail. First of all, why do we need MSP is something that we can start off with to set off the context. See, oceans are central to climate, economy, and security. That has been something that we've had from the very beginning. It is important for climate, it is important for economy and security. But with increasing complexity, such as the climate change risk, anthropogenic pressures, the changing lifestyles, we are now faced with a very different set of challenges as compared to a decade, 2 decades back. And these challenges are not just very pressurizing, but also competing. I mean, different stakeholders are competing for the same resources. And the risk of conflict, fragmentation, overexploitation, therefore grows as multiple stakeholders compete for the limited resource and space. So we are faced with climate regulation challenge, which is oceans have to absorb the CO2. I mean, they are the largest CO2 sink, and they regulate the global temperature. And then oceans are the economic engine. A lot of resources, various industries are dependent on the resources from oceans. And it is a foundation for security. As in today's session, Arnab had mentioned, the next terrorist attack could be through an underwater vehicle. So the security foundation is also something that where ocean plays a very important role. So this handbook integrates marine spatial planning with UDA for inclusive, sustainable, and secure ocean governance. So this is where we are at. So ocean is a common pool resource. 75% of the earth is water. Various essential, not limited to 5, various essential services are obtained from the ocean, and it is 100% shared. Even though we have exclusive economic zone, the impact of, let's say, pollution in one part of the ocean has effects on the oceans far off. So we cannot properly or exclusively demarcate the oceans. Food security, energy production, global transportation, climate regulation. So these are the different applications and uses of ocean that we have currently. So the challenges include overuse, pollution, unsustainable exploitation. So what is the solution that we are looking at? So at present, the solution which stands out the most is marine spatial planning. I had mentioned this earlier in my session. It's a public process where opinions from various stakeholders, the insights from various stakeholders are put together. It's transparent. And what do? We try to create an analysis of the spatial and temporal activities. And once we map all of that out, we allocate the resources. So the strategic allocation of the marine space is done after that. And so this is in gist what MSP entails. The benefits are to reduce conflicts, to enhance coordination, balance our different objectives. Every stakeholder will have different objectives: economic, ecological, and social. And we also have to ensure the sustainable use. So sustainability by definition means today we use something, making sure that we do not deprive the future generation of the same resource. So that is sustainability. And how do we do that? So keeping all of that in mind, we start the process of MSP. So MSP has evolved from the Cold War era. So MSP is actually making sure that the ocean interests are taken care of along with the human interests. So during the Cold War era, the interest in oceans was mainly military and security concerns. Post 1990s, an evolved consciousness regarding the ecological limits and biodiversity protection emerged, which led to the involvement of different perspectives, ecological perspectives. And today we are at a stage where blue economy and the climate action, we are trying to balance all of those interests. Blue economy, making sure that because the terrestrial resources are also limited and we have exploited most of it, which were accessible. Now we are trying to move on to the ocean resources and trying to harness them make, for energy purposes, for food purposes, etc. And in this context, we have the looming climate change impacts, sea level rise, increasing temperature, acidification, ocean acidification, etc. So we are trying to tackle all of that today. So the historical drivers previously were security, environmental degradation, climate change urgency, and economic pressure. But today, the modern approach where MSP comes into picture is economic growth along with job creation because of the bulging population as well, especially in the Indo-Pacific area, where we have a huge young population and we are trying to cater to the needs of that population, the livelihood aspects, and environmental protection and restoration. Whatever we have damaged, we are trying to restore it as well. Social equity and community needs. We are trying to identify within the society who are the weaker ones. For example, women, maybe economically weaker sections of the society, lower caste, etc. So the social equity and community needs are also something that we are trying to put together. And the national and regional security. This is self-explanatory how we are trying to protect our coast against invaders, etc. So the scope of MSP in modern ocean governance is are the following different aspects. So the marine industry's economic benefits, then the climate action, then the policy integration, how the fragmented policies, and also India is a huge country and we have a huge coastline. The decision-making processes, even within, outside of India, when we talk about the regional aspects, the Indo-Pacific, the IORA nations, Indian Ocean region countries. So how do we, as I already mentioned, ocean is a common pool resource. So we cannot make decisions individually, and there are international mandates that we need to take care of. We follow the rule of the law. So we have to make sure that our national regional policies are in sync with each other. And then conflict resolutions. We need a platform where we can facilitate dialogue and then make compromise among competing stakeholders and users. So a multi-level governance framework is something that we envision in MSP from global to regional to national level. So the global effects of MSP when we try to compare the Western and the global South. So Western approaches have always been hardware intensive, focusing on the temperate region of the world. It's resource intensive. So because the Western countries have traditionally been more, they have had a lot of financial resources. So they have focused on hardware intensive technologies. But what the global south actually needs is low cost solution, and it's become like something that everybody runs after, a low cost solution. Adaptive models, because things keep changing. We have different, you start off one thing, you end up in something which you didn't expect. So you have to rework your models. So we need an adaptive model solution. And then tropical customization. We are in a tropical climate zone, so we need tropical customization, and it's very different from the temperate uh, conditions. So the critical insight here is it is essential to avoid your traditional systems and unsuitable frameworks which don't work today, and try to adapt it for the resources that are available in developing nations, to the environmental conditions here, and to the specific needs. So, what are the challenges and opportunities in resource constrained regions? So, we have limited resources, fragmented governance, and awareness gaps, but we have a lot of opportunities as well. So, because we are a very youthful population, we have innovative ideas, we have innovation, we have a lot of startup coming up, and we have the tool, the digital transformation which is happening with AI and ML and various satellite data and everything that is available. Various kinds of data are available which we can put together, but of course we have to make sure that they are accurate. And then community engagement, we have a lot of indigenous knowledge in our community, a lot of knowledge which if we utilize properly, if we use if we involve all the community stakeholders properly, we are going to end up in a more efficient solution and regional collaboration. So there we are in particularly India, we have a lot of good uh, friends in our area in the Indian Ocean region. So in the good neighboring countries, if we put together, we can have like an efficient system where we there's a capacity building initiative that we can take up. The technology transfer can be efficient. We already have a lot of different schemes going on where different researchers come together and work together, and such initiatives can will get enhanced if MSP is done and implemented properly. So where does UDA come in? So UDA, as I already mentioned, it's the intelligence part of MSP. So without UDA, MSP will have a very vague structure without understanding how to be adaptive or how to be cost efficient also. So UDA brings in the policy, technology, and capacity building aspects after gathering the data, after making sure that all the data is put together and integrated to give you some intelligible insights into what is happening underwater, um, so that we can make decisions accordingly. So to make sure that we are sensing properly, monitoring technologies are robust, and we analyze that data properly so we understand the patterns, and to share, to make sure that we are producing information in such a way that all the stakeholders understand what is happening, understand the analytics, and know what to do. So the UDA and the Indo-Pacific context, this is again might be a little bit of repetition, but UDA in the Indo-Pacific is in the tropical waters, so sonar suffers a lot of degradation here because the actual sonar technology was developed in the temperate waters. Similarly, the Indo-Pacific has it's the major area where 40% of the global trade passes through, and it is home to about 3.5 billion people. And so this makes it very important. I mean, the Indo-Pacific is an important area in the world, and it with various strategic choke points, critical maritime trade routes, and making sure we are doing it efficiently. All our work here is important. So the roadmap of the handbook. So this presentation, I'm going to like after setting the context. The handbook is basically something that we at MRC put together the policy interventions, technology interventions, and the capacity and capability building initiatives that, based on our work, we put together and to demonstrate how an efficient MSP should look like. So the strategic governance frameworks are covered, tropical adaptation methodologies are covered, and multi-stakeholder coordination about how to take it forward. Similarly, in technology, we have the modeling and simulation platforms, how those can help policymakers, and similarly, acoustic monitoring systems and tropical specific technologies. And in the capacity and capability building, we have envisioned trainings on acoustics and non-acoustics technology, innovation ecosystem, community engagement programs. So what are the policy interventions that we are majorly looking at? So we are trying to tackle the institutional barriers. the complex legal frameworks and bureaucratic challenges, and how to integrate UDA. And when we integrate UDA, you minimize fragmentation because you have selected all the essential stakeholders and brought them together and understood their needs, and you give them the data that they require, and to some point handhold and give them the analysis they need. And after a point, even within our country or to some other neighboring country, if we are trying to build their capacity, they will have the exclusive rights to their own data, and they'll start working on it themselves. So this is the larger vision. Similarly, the tropical focus is something that we have to bring in all our policies. Instead of just blindly, maybe sometimes, buying in technologies from outside without understanding if they'll actually work in our waters is something that we need to be careful about in our policy making domain. And this can give India a huge opportunity to become regional leaders, global leaders when it comes to ocean governance. And we are also trying to align all of this with the ESG and SDG parameter. ESG is the environmental, social, and governance principles, which has become a key topic in most of the businesses today to make sure that their business is environmentally, socially, and governance wise responsible. Similarly, the Sustainable Development Goals alignment is also taken care of. And then the policy is incomplete if we don't know what the impact of that policy is and making sure that the policies are also adaptive. So this is something that we've covered here. In the technology interventions, you have the modeling and simulation part. So Sridhar has already elaborated on how we are taking that up and how all of our endeavors in technology, we are trying to create strategic autonomy, even in terms of data analytics, so that, the security aspects of data sharing is taken care of. And this can provide livelihood. Plus, at the same time, we don't need a lot of expensive resources to make this work. So this is the highlight of this particular intervention. So to see, to understand, and share, which I already mentioned, is applicable here. And in the acoustic capacity and capability building, we have these three parameters: outreach, engage, and sustain. So we reach out to the relevant stakeholders, we engage them, and then we take steps to sustain that relationship, to maintain that capacity. And to do all of that, our team is continuously involved in research, knowledge generation, enhancing the skilling programs, innovating, and we get a lot of different bright students every year as fellows and interns who help with bringing the fresh ideas to fruition. And similarly, the strategy to keep developing the strategy and making sure all the relevant stakeholders are involved. So we have categorized capacity building. So when we talk about capacity building, we have different types of people we are also envisioning. So from the community itself, from Nishta's presentation, you must have heard about the 100 Warriors program. So these 100 warriors, what kind of capacity building are you going to give them? They are going to be analytics specialists, data scientists, technical specialists. Maybe some of them are going to just collect data. So based on their background, they can be given the necessary opportunity. So one of the sad thing today is the next generation of fisher folk. I mean, the next generation is diminishing. Most of them are migrating for better opportunities elsewhere. But it's something that we understand is that there's a lot of opportunity where they are if the technology is put to use properly. So the technical specialist in acoustic engineering, field deployment and operations team. So all of these can be populated by those 100 warriors themselves, which can be scaled up further. So these are some of the pictures from our field visit, and my colleagues have already shown some of them to you. So this was basically an initiative for capacity building to understand what the ground reality is, to understand what they want, to understand, to tweak our technology and our strategy accordingly. So when you go there, we ask them, once they participate, we understand what they need and we show what we have, and we come back and we make sure that we have something that they can work with. So this is a seaweed cultivation that the farmers were involved in. And we also had online sessions where we asked them to participate, and we showed them the different knowledge generation that we already have, what are the different kind of capacity and capability building we are developing, what are the technologies we are developing, what are the interventions that we are working on, etc. And these are some of the fellows from MRC in engaging with the fisher folk community. So the key takeaways are MSP plus UDA is a fundamental requirement for future-ready ocean governance. It's a convergent strategy, bringing policy, technology, and capacity building together. Tropical specialization is going to be a highlight in this MSP proposed by MRC. We also envision an inclusive growth, community and sustainable development of the community and various other different stakeholders. So the recommendations for different stakeholders are for policymakers to make sure they adopt comprehensive UDA framework, for technocrats prioritizing modeling and simulation, for researchers to build specialized capacity. Even when researchers work on something, let the work reach the audience it is supposed to reach. So that is something that we take seriously. And to make sure that people, economy, and nature, all of them are covered appropriately. With this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you so much.